Well, what a rough few days it's been. We've had failed landscape photography locations, we've got broken camera equipment. Have a look at this. There's been 3 failed landscape photography shoots in the last 24 hours. If I hang around too long, I may not be able to get off the beach. Hopefully the volcano will be visible for sunset. Apparently just up here there is a volcano. The weather report says it's going to clear, but from what you can see, I hope you can appreciate what I'd say. That's very optimistic. You can understand why I'm saying that. Looks like a failed sunset for today, unfortunately. Well, she was right there just a minute ago, and as I'm setting up my tripod, she disappeared very quickly, which is very frustrating. I think only a miracle can happen now. I'm still hopeful, I'm not giving up yet. Fingers are crossed. Cross your fingers for me, let's get this shot, come on. And unfortunately I just dropped my camera. It literally just slid off my tripod. Welcome to my landscape photography channel. My name's Stephen Milner and I'm a photographer based in New Zealand who specialises in film photography. Well, I just brought my film camera, so maybe that's going to change. Today's video is a story about the ugly truth of landscape photography. It's about the failed landscape photography location shots and the wasted time that goes into creating great images. It's a story that follows me to a place called New Plymouth, which is in the southern part of New Zealand's North Island, where there is an amazing volcano called Mount Taranaki. It's also a story about how I search for compositions in the landscape, and it's a story about how I choose my film from slide film to colour negative film to black and white negative film. I really do hope you've had a great weekend, and I really do hope you have a great week ahead of you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more content like this. This video is a bit of a long one, and I encourage you to watch it right from the start, right to the end, and that'll give you a true picture of what it's like to be a full-time landscape photographer travelling around the country, trying to create great images. I will put up some of the images now to keep you enticed in the video. They were taken with Rollei RPX25, which is a black and white film, and they were developed by me at home using Ilfotec DD-X. Have a look at the images, I really hope you like them, and I really hope you enjoy this video. And within about 10 minutes the volcano is completely covered in cloud again, and I was lucky enough to make 6 exposures. So I did just make another shot here. I just moved position slightly onto another rock where there's some water flowing over the rock, and my feet are well and truly now wet with seawater, and these trainers are probably ruined. I did just take my last exposure. I did 2 exposures from this location, one with a 75mm lens and one with a 50mm lens. Hang on, there's a tide coming in. As you can see, it's just chaos here. Water everywhere. Well, this is a beautiful scenery. It's very rugged. It's the wild west coast of New Zealand. And I've been here before. This is a place called the Three Sisters, and it's a very dangerous place, but it's also a very beautiful place. And it's only accessible during low tide, and today we've arrived here as the tide's incoming. Low tide was at 12 p.m. and it's now 3:15, and high tide's at 5 o'clock. So our window of getting some photography here is probably too small, and if I hang around too long I may not be able to get off the beach. So we're going to start heading back, and hopefully we will revisit this location another time. Well, this is a beautiful place. I have to say that, well, after that failed photography location shoot this morning, as I was approaching New Plymouth to photograph Mount Taranaki, it started raining. I couldn't help but think that perhaps I was going to have a second failed photography shoot. I've arrived in New Plymouth now, and the weather looks very changeable. There's some clouds hanging around and there's some blue sky. There's some showers now and again, and we've come to this beautiful lake. So we're going to move off now from here, and we're going to head towards, we're going to start heading back towards the car, and we're going to have a bit of a look around and see if we can find some of the compositions. Our sunset shoot for this evening is going to be Stony River. It's about an hour away from here, and it's a river where you can get very clear views of the volcano. Hopefully the volcano will be visible for sunset, fingers crossed. So come on, let's go and have a bit of a look around and see what we find. Well, this is a beautiful place, but unfortunately I can't see much. Ooh. So here we're at the Blue Rata Reserve, and this is Stony River. What a beautiful place. I've never ever seen anything quite like this. There's a lot of river stone here, very large river boulders, and there's a lot of sand around away from the river, so this is obviously a flood area, and there's washed down trees. So I suspect in really heavy rains the river level rises significantly. Apparently just up here there is a volcano. Who knows where it is right now because it's raining and I can't see a thing. So I'm not quite sure if this is the best place for a composition on the volcano using the Stony River, but nevertheless it is a beautiful place. I'm going to have a bit of a look around. Time wise it's 6:15. The weather report says it's going to clear, but from what you can see, I hope you can appreciate what I'd say. That's very optimistic. You can understand why I'm saying that. What a beautiful place though. I'm going to have a bit of a look around, and then I think we'll hop back in the car and drive more down towards the coast and see what it looks like down there. And if anything, if we don't get a photo shoot tonight, at least we've visualised the foreground interest for a potential shot in the future, which I think is important. So anyway, we'll have a look around, do a bit of exploring and see what we find. So there are remnants of footprints here, so I'm just going to follow these footprints for a little bit and see if it leads us on to a composition that's worth revisiting in the future. So I've just found quite an interesting little spot. If you can just see behind me here, there is a river that is weaving off into the distance. And if you can just visualise with me for a moment and just kind of imagine over there in the distance a conical shaped volcano that looks very similar to Mount Fuji, and you have this river leading up into the volcano, and using different exposures you can capture the motions of the water, or you can put an ND filter in and capture a long exposure. What a beautiful place. Well, this is a beautiful beach. It's very rugged, lots of driftwood, some rocks in the ocean that have obviously washed down from Stony River. So I've driven down the full length of Stony River from Blue Rata Reserve to the ocean, and I think it's safe to say that the compositions are further up towards the volcano at Blue Rata Reserve. I mean, you can't even see the volcano from down here because it's how low we are. And it is sunset now, and there is some nice light around, as you can see behind me here. There's a bit of a storm happening over there. There's a lot of cloud around, and the volcano is completely covered in cloud. So, looks like a failed sunset for today, unfortunately. But I don't think it's lost cause, because I have found some compositions that I know that I can revisit and photograph another day, which is great. So I think the best thing I can do now is head off and pick a campsite that's going to be as close as possible to the lake where we visited before for a sunrise shoot. So I'm going to do that, and we'll see what we'll find in the morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. That's a very hot coffee. Cappuccino. So we are at Lake Mangamahui. It is 6 AM in the morning. And it was a beautiful night's sleep actually. Very quiet, lots of lovely bird noise. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the morning brings us, especially after yesterday's 2 disappointment photography shoots. When I woke up this morning, I emerged from my tent and I looked. The first thing I did was look at the sky, and I could see stars, but I could also see some cloud. And the weather report was telling us that there is a possibility of some cloud, 60% coverage, low cloud. So I'm going to hope that we can see the volcano, because I really do think that I deserve a good photography shoot this morning after yesterday. So it's 6 o'clock right now. Twilight starts at 6:30 and sunrise is just after 7. So we're just going to have a little coffee here, and we are only 5 minutes away from our photography location, and then we'll make our way over towards the lake, and we'll get set up and we'll wait and hope. Haven't decided what film I'm going to use. Possibly going to shoot some Velvia 50 this morning, but I've got a bit of a selection, some of the slide film, some colour negative film and some black and white film with me as well. So, good morning. Fingers crossed. Let's see what we find. Well, my location this morning is a very short walk from where my car is, where I camped. And from where my car is, you cannot see the volcano. But as I'm walking down towards the dam of the lake, I'm looking across the lake and I can see still water. And I could just about see the top of the volcano. But as I'm setting up, there's a big cloud that starts to move in front of it and block its view, which is quite frustrating. Well, she was right there just a minute ago, and as I'm setting up my tripod, she disappeared very quickly, which is very frustrating. And there is some nice light starting to come on these clouds. Sunrise is still half an hour away, so there is a possibility that the cloud could move past and we could get a shot. I've set up my camera ready to go. Got my Mamiya 6 set up with a 150mm lens, and that's going to give us a nice compressed shot of the volcano with a nice reflection in the still lake. With like a little band of trees, which I think are pine trees, just at the bottom. I haven't loaded any film in yet because if I'm not going to be able to get a shot, then I don't want to load a film in to my camera and then be stuck with that film for the rest of the day and for our sunset shoot tonight. So I'm just going to wait until we get a visible shot of the volcano, then I'll load in some film. But yeah, what a beautiful place, even though we haven't yet actually managed to expose any shots. So that cloud is getting thicker and thicker. I think only a miracle can happen now. It would be disappointing for another third landscape photography location failure. Anyway, we will wait and we will remain hopeful. Time wise it is 20 to 7, so we've still got 20 minutes until sunrise. So I guess anything can happen in between now and say an hour. I just hope it doesn't start raining. If anything, the birds are giving me a nice song this morning. Cheer me up. We just managed to see just a little bit of the volcano then, but it was just not enough to make a compelling image with. And within seconds, it's now completely covered in clouds. So there is a bit of hope the cloud may thin out and we may get a shot, one that's worth taking. Time wise, it is now 7 o'clock, so I think slide film, particularly Velvy 50, is probably not a good choice now. So as sun rises, I'll probably move to Kodak Portra 160, and we'll hang around for a while and just see what happens, and hopefully we'll at least get one shot. Well, I don't know if you just saw that then, but she's definitely trying to show herself for sure, because we could just about see her then, but still not enough to make a compelling shot with. And there's some quite nice light coming through onto the clouds now, orange glow, and you can see some orange glow on the snow on the volcano when she shows herself. There's a bit of a chop come on the water now, so the wind has come up a little bit, which makes it more difficult for us to get a nice reflection. But yeah, we'll wait. I've added Portra 160 and Kodak Hector to my pocket just in case. Yeah, I've got some black and white film as well, so we are well covered for film, that's for sure. I'm still hopeful. I'm not giving up yet. Fingers are crossed. Cross your fingers for me. Let's get this shot. Come on. See, she's trying to show herself again now. You can just see the outline of the volcano and a little bit of an orange glow on the snow, but just can't quite see enough of her. She's definitely trying now. There's just this one cloud, just this one strip of cloud just right here that's stopping me from having a good view of the volcano, and I can see lots of golden light on the snow, and it's really frustrating. There is some blue sky moving over, so we could be on with the shot in a minute. Fingers crossed. We've been here long enough. I haven't loaded film yet. I have got my light meter out, and I have got an ND filter ready just to smooth out some of this water. Haven't decided what film I'm going to use yet. Still thinking Kodak Hector 100 or Portra 160. It's going to be a negative film. I'm not going to shoot a slide film now. It's getting close. I'm going to get ready. Well, we can just now see the very top of the volcano in the distance. But there's still all this cloud. There's like a band of cloud just preventing me from taking a shot, and it's annoying. And I can see all this red glow on the cloud just to the right of the volcano, and it's got so much potential, and I just can't get a photo of it because of that cloud. But it is thinning out, so hopefully, fingers still crossed. There's not much colour around. There's just blue sky, there's blue reflection on the water, some quite dark green trees, and the snow on the volcano is pretty much white now. So I've put in some black and white film into my pocket. Rollei RPX25, I've not shot this film before, so we may go with the black and white film. We'll see. These clouds just keep rolling in. There's now another cloud that's approaching the top of the volcano. Anyway, if we're going to shoot black and white film, it means that we can shoot during full sunlight, which means we can hang around for a little bit longer. There is some blue sky up here, so I have still got my fingers crossed. I hope to get a shot. Well, she's completely covered in cloud now, and we have well and truly missed the good light because it is just gone past 7:30. The sun is starting to rise up here beside me now, and the volcano is well and truly covered in cloud. And it just looks like it's getting thicker and thicker. So I'm thinking I'm going to head back to the car, reflect a little bit, and then probably decide what I'm going to do with the rest of the day. Have a coffee, have some food, wake up a little bit and make a new plan. check the weather reports, do things like that. Yeah, a bit disappointing, but hey, this is life, right? And at the end of the day, I found 2 photography locations that have the potential to take, you know, great landscape photography images of Mount Taranaki. I just need to pick a time to come back where there's lots of certainty around the weather, and it's very obvious from the weather reports that there is, you know, 2 or 3 days of really good weather and clear skies. Well, we did just make 2 exposures, and I loaded in some Rollei RPX25. Haven't shot this film before. It's a 25 ISO speed film, so I think that's great for daytime photography when there's blue skies. And I popped on an orange filter onto my 150mm lens and photographed a very compressed shot of the volcano with the lake in the foreground. And I composed it so the lake just kind of sweeps in from the left to the right and leads right up to the volcano. And I was at f8 and made 2 exposures, one at 15th of a second and one at 1/8 of a second. So looking forward to see how they turn out. The volcano is still visible, so I'm going to move back down to where I was before and see if I can grab a shot down there. Well, I can't believe my luck. I can see the volcano in full view. I'm still working with my 150mm lens here. I have taken 2 shots already, same as before with the orange filter. 150mm lens, f8, 15th of a second, an 1/8 of a second, and I'm now going to drop in a 6-stop ND filter on top of my orange filter. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's 4 seconds. And there we go. Hopefully that's just enough of a long exposure just to smooth out this water a little bit. But yeah, the volcano is looking pretty cool. And within about 10 minutes the volcano is completely covered in cloud again. And I was lucky enough to make 6 exposures. Fingers crossed they turn out great. So we're all packed up now and ready to head back to my car. As I was packing my camera gear away, I was just reflecting on the last 24 hours. And I think it's fair to say that there's been 3 failed landscape photography shoots in the last 24 hours. There was early yesterday, I was at the Three Sisters, and the tide was coming in, so we had to leave. There was Stony River last night for the sunset shot. It was just a complete washout with rain. And then there was this morning shoot here for sunrise to get this beautiful shot of the volcano with reflections. And there was just complete cloud coverage, and I was feeling pretty low, to be fair, and I'm sure you can understand that 3 failed locations in 24 hours is pretty tough, to be fair. And I went back to my car after this morning and I was packing up, feeling low, and I just wanted to go home. But I always remained slightly hopeful, and even though I was feeling really down, there was this little voice in my mind saying, Stephen, you've got to just make sure that if you leave now, that you are leaving because you are 100% sure that the weather is unworkable. And I'm looking at the sky and there's just this blue sky, and I'm thinking I must go back there and just check. So I grabbed my camera equipment and I went back up to the hill and I was having a look, and there was some cloud, so I was just waiting for 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden the volcano revealed itself. And this story up until this point now, that's really the ugly, it's the ugly truth of landscape photography. It's the wasted hours that go into these shoots. There's so many hours of wasted time that go into getting great shots that I think people don't realise. And far too often it's easy just to look at the weather and say, oh well, there's a possibility there, but because it looks a bit rough, there's some cloud, my chances are really low of getting some shots, and I'm not going to go out today. But when you do go out on those days, those are the days that you get the great shots, because there's all this moving atmosphere from the rain and the weather. So there's a little bit of a message there about, you know, always looking at the positive side of things, always being hopeful, always, you know, being optimistic and trying to put yourself in the best position to get the shot, because really that's what landscape photography is about. It's about doing your research, going to a location, putting yourself in that position and getting yourself set up for when nature allows you to get a great shot. And I think today's a really good example of that. So yeah, I'm feeling really happy that I've got these shots, and we're now going to head off and yeah, try and find some more compositions. We're going to head to the Three Sisters, I think. See, the cloud's just clearing now again here. But I think I've got my shots that I want, so I'm going to head off. I'm going to put the shots up now on the screen. Have a look. Let me know what you think. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I haven't developed the film myself, but I'm 99% sure that they're going to turn out great. So give me some comments, let me know what you think, and we will continue this vlog. So we've returned to the Three Sisters, and the tide is on its way out. And there's just a little section here where I can't get past the rocks because the tide hasn't gone out far enough. And I think it's probably 10 to 15 minutes worth of time waiting for the tide to go down far enough so that we can just get round that corner. Off in the distance you can see it looks like it's raining just off there. So hopefully we don't get wet. Although it doesn't worry me too much because I do have a rain jacket with me. Although I don't really want to get a wet camera, but we will ride it out if we have to. So yeah, just a few minutes and then we're going to make our way around here, and then hopefully we're going to make some landscape photography shots. Well, I made it over the rocks with some very sketchy cliffhanging using my tripod as stabilizers. But we're now on the beach, so let's go and have a look. What a beautiful beach this is. Rugged and wild and dramatic. Well, I wasn't expecting this. Bit of wildlife, New Zealand wildlife just roaming on the beach. Wow, this is beautiful. So wild. I've kind of reached a spot here where I can't quite get any further. But there's these amazing sea stacks. And the tide's just coming in here. And as you can see, I'm balancing on a rock, waiting for an opportunity for the tide to go past. So here we have the Three Sisters in all their glory, looking very beautiful, very slender and tall. Well, I managed to get myself in a very precarious little location. I've kind of come up into a crack on the side of the cliff face here, and it's the only location where I thought I could get all three sea stacks in one shot. And unfortunately I just dropped my camera. It literally just slid off my tripod. I have no idea if it's still working. I haven't tried to shoot it, and the worst thing is that this location doesn't even give me a full perspective on all three sea stacks. So I probably just completely wasted my time and probably just destroyed my camera. But anyway, we're going to try and make an exposure somewhere else and we'll see if it still works. Whoa. So my camera's working, but what I have discovered is the collapsible lens doesn't collapse now, so I'm probably gonna have to get it repaired. But I did just make 2 exposures of this scene here, and we had a 2-minute exposure with a 9-stop filter in, and I did one with just a 3-stop and an orange filter, which was, including reciprocity, 13 seconds. And I was just waiting for the tide to come in, and then I would take the exposure in the ongoing tide. Sorry, in the outgoing tide. Sorry, there's just some people hanging around here. Little kids just playing in the rock. This is a beautiful scene. I'm gonna maybe try and just get over there in a second and see if I can get another shot looking down there. Yeah, what a beautiful scene. So I did just move slightly. I just basically moved literally 2 meters to the right, and I switched my lens up to a 75mm lens. And I just like it because there's a couple of rocks just down here in the foreground, and there's a gap, and the water's moving around them, and it's pulling, the water's pulling through the gap towards the sea stacks. So hopefully visually and compositionally we should get some motion in the waves that draw your eye into those sea stacks. That's the theory. I did take 2 exposures, one was 4 seconds, so I'm just watching for the water here, and one was 13 seconds, and that's with Rollei RPX25. Reciprocity does need to be added from 2 seconds. So I've got maybe 1 or 2 shots left, so I'm going to have a look around and see what we can find. So I did just make another shot here. I just moved position slightly onto another rock where there's some water flowing over the rock, and my feet are well and truly now wet with seawater, and these trainers are probably ruined. I did just take my last exposure. I did 2 exposures from this location, one with a 75mm lens and one with a 50mm lens. Hang on, there's a tide coming in. As you can see, it's just chaos here, water everywhere. But what a beautiful scenery. We're going to make my way off the beach now. The tide's coming in, I think. It is 1 o'clock, so I don't want to get caught out here. So I'll make my way back to the car and then we'll see a bit of a catch up there, eh? So this is the damaged camera, the Mamiya 6 MF. And the Mamiya 6 has a collapsible lens design, which essentially this bit here, when I press this button, should sink in all the way in. And it's not, it's stuck in the out position, which I guess is good because, well, I guess in some ways it's good because I can still use it. But I do want it to be able to collapse down. I can still take the lens cap off and I can attach a lens, so that still works, and it does still take images, I think. Hopefully the drop didn't create a light leak, so that would be disappointing if the images don't turn out. But I'm gonna have to probably buy another body and send this one off to America to be repaired, which is pretty disappointing. So what an eventful 2 days. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. I really hope these images turn out. I will just put up the images from the shoot on the beach today for you to take a look at, have a look, leave some comments and tell me what you think. So I just want to run something by my subscribers. I'm actually thinking of introducing a digital camera into my workflow, not to replace film, but as a supplementary camera. And the logic is being that I want to be able to travel around New Zealand and stay away for multiple days and still put videos out, because I can create videos on my iPad, and if I had a digital camera I could quite easily just create a video with some images and then upload it when I get Wi-Fi. But at the minute while I'm shooting film, I tend to find that I go away for a day or two and then I have to go home to develop the film. So yeah, I'm thinking long term, you know, the infinite mindset. I'm thinking of getting a digital camera. So I could just use the Fujifilm X-T1 that I have. I have the 16-55 f2.8 Pro lens. It works very well. It covers, you know, 24mm up to 75mm, so which is the focal length I like to work with. I'm also considering a Fujifilm X-T4 and also a Fujifilm GFX. Thinking about going medium format. Again, thinking long term, traveling around New Zealand and creating the, you know, capturing the best images I can with a medium format sensor. But then I also think about getting a Leica monochrome like the Leica 246 and shooting purely black and white for digital, and then whenever I want to shoot colour, I just shoot film. And I like the Leica 246 because it's very compact and rangefinder lenses are very sharp. So let me know what you think. Which camera, if I was to go digital, what do you think I should do? Stick with my Fujifilm X-T1, go with an X-T4, get a GFX, or get a Leica 246. So yeah, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. So, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Take care, see you soon, bye for now.